Okay, let's try this again. Hopefully this is better. Is it? Is it? Don't fail me now, tripod. Okay, whatever. Okay, hopefully this will work better. Oh hey, more people are coming back. I'm sorry about that earlier. Just trying to, the setup didn't work out, but hopefully, you know, this setup will work, and it'll be more visible. Can you guys see? So, I'm just working on stuff. The last stream didn't work out, but so basically, this is a O'Shaughnessy's chameleon. There's actually some debate over whether it's a Parsons, but so anyway, this is a O'Shaughnessy's chameleon, and what I'm doing is I'm opening up the side to do some photography and infographics. It's kind of a very careful dissection, and yeah, so this is a female. She died eggbound, and you can see all the eggs in there. So I guess what I'm actually doing right now, and basically this is just a watch me work stream because, you know, it's like, I'm not, like, I do a lot of streams that are kind of informative, but not this one. I'm just going to work on stuff. So what I'm trying to do is, oh, hey Stephanie. Stephanie says hi. So anyway, what I'm trying to do is I'm actually trying to remove the intercostals. So there's a thin layer of muscle tissue that's between the ribs, and these are called the intercostals. They, in mammals, they help expand the rib cage, they help you breathe, and so on. So I'm trying to take those out so we only have ribs, and you can see the organs through the ribs. And I feel like that's more helpful than, say, you know, just cutting the ribs out, which I've done on like previous dissections. But I just don't feel like that's, you know, I don't feel like that's a helpful thing to do because it loses context, you know? But yeah, anyway, it's just kind of really careful. It's kind of an awkward way of working because of the thing in the way. Oh, shit. So, you see this, so here's the egg, right? So, you see this bubble under here, and you think that's just membrane, but it's not. It's a part of the lung. And they have this lung, but then it has these like branching offshoots, and if you puncture one of them, you deflate the entire lung. And thus far, like, I've done a lot of chameleons, but thus far I've not actually ever had one where I successfully took out the side without destroying the lung. And it's like one of those things where I always hope for, like, I always hope that it's gonna work out, and doesn't always, or it never has before. So just gonna, but you know, you always try it, right? Come on. That right there is also a portion of the lung. You see that air bubble? People always ask me, like, how do you do such clean cuts when you dissect? And the secret is drawing. Like, if you draw, you develop this sort of like steady hand that you can. It makes it a lot easier to like to use the knife in the way that, you know, you use a pencil. Let's see. Oh, dude, Gerard is watching. Hey, Gerard. Sorry. I'm gonna return to your message. I haven't, you know, gotten to it yet, but yeah, thanks for watching. Okay, so there's one down, like a dozen to go. You know, it would be really cool if I took out the other side. Like, if I'm able to like take out both sides and then retain the ribs, that would be awesome. It's one more thing to try. Yeah. I don't know, I'm always trying like weird stuff to try to like better display it, and you know. Did I puncture the lung? Not yet. Oh, sorry. If people have questions, the comments are going by really fast. So, like, just go ahead and ask them again because I may not see them because I'm, working on this stuff. Ooh, I would love to see that. Oh, hey, Gerard. Hey, I'm sorry. I saw your message and I haven't gotten a chance to reply yet, but yeah, I will totally get back to you before I go to bed today. I think the sea. Oh God. Oh God. The lung is stuck out. Wait. Okay, so this bubble right here is part of the lung, right? And a lot of times it'll just stick to the inside of the ribs, and it's just this right here. You see it? You see it? That bubble. It's super easy to puncture it, and I'm trying to not do that because I've never really had one that was successful. And but it's one of those things that it's one of those goals like swimming a mile or climbing Everest or something, dissecting out a complete chameleon lung without any punctures. That would be good. Yeah, it's so close to the surface. Oh my God, no. Shoot, okay. What's interesting about this one is that like the eggs are here, but then they like move all the way up to the chest cavity to compress against the heart, and also it really compresses the lung, and that's why I want to get the lungs out intact because I want to be able to show that. But again, goals. There's people watching. Was this a live chameleon? Kelsey asked. No, she was frozen and given to me. And I actually... Oh, shit, did I puncture the lung? No, we're good. No, well, I mean, like, all carcasses were live at one point, right? But I got her frozen from a breeder, and she's been in the freezer for a while, for a couple of months. And I think, I was doing an inventory today, and... I thought I'd take her out and work on her because I had like mastered some new techniques. So anyway, hi Mona, hey, yeah, Mona is my assistant and she comes in like every once in a while to help out. But yeah, jeez. So, please no random punctures, please. Okay, we need to do some separation here. No. Okay, that's cool. So what should happen, oh, there we go. I'm gonna just insert this plastic thing here to lift the ribs away from the lung so I'm not accidentally puncturing the lung. Love your work with these eyes. Summer Meredith Horton asks, Jennifer Bessa, did I puncture the lung? Hopefully not yet. Summer Meredith Horton instance, what got you into this? Oh my God, my weird story. So anyway, I was always interested in art and biology. Like even as a kid, I would just, capture little bugs and always really interested in art and so on. So when I went to school, I actually went to school for art. And then I got my degree in art, and I actually worked in the game industry for a while. So I was working at like game companies. I worked on like the Lord of the Rings game, worked on Dungeons and Dragons, and what other games? Zoo Tycoon, and some like the early 2000s games. And then, so I was really, really interested in this sort of intersection between art and biology. And at that time, it was creature design. So I was doing a lot of creature design. It was kind of my dream job. But at the same time, the industry at the time for creature design, you can't just be a creature designer. You can, because you had to like be a generalist, right? The market wasn't there for just creature design. So, and I thought like, I would go to school and have it like get more education, have it better inform my work. So when I first went to college, I always wanted to get a degree in art and biology. And I went to like a state school, and then like that wasn't possible. So then I transferred to a different school, and it still wasn't possible. So I wasn't able to ever get like a dual degree, and it sucked. And I always wanted like to get, a more education in biology. And then like after working in the game industry for a couple of years and building up some money and some sort of and some work, I went ahead and went to graduate school. So I went to graduate school. I did my research in reptiles, but I actually worked on turtles. I worked on reptile anatomy, and at that time this is kind of bad, but at that time I really only worked on reptiles because like there wasn't really any other option. We didn't have the professor working on mammals was on sabbatical at the time, and I was kind of only able to do my thing in reptiles. And because at the time I didn't realize how cool reptiles were, because they're kind of like when you're in graduate school and you're studying like comparative anatomy, they're kind of a lot of times they're just kind of glossed over. They're like mammals but lesser, and like a lot of times you see this general attitude in society too, where like they're not taken as like seriously as like nicer pets, but or they're like seen as like lesser pets. But then so anyway, like, but they turned out to be really cool. I did my research in turtles and turtle anatomy, and then I started doing a lot of dissections on my own just to inform myself about the anatomy of different animals. And it was really easy to get reptile specimens. And the more I worked on reptiles, the more I realized how infinitely variable and how incredible they actually were. Like, a lot of times, you have this tendency to view reptiles as just primitive creatures, and that's not true. That's not, like, they're just as derived and advanced as, mammals. They've got tons of, like, they're able to do tons of things that, mammals can't do, and they've got tons of interesting features that are just, like, unimaginable. And, and I realized that, like, over maybe the past 3 or 4 years that I was wrong about reptiles. Did I puncture the lung? Shit. No, hold on. Did not puncture. Okay, cool. So over the past 3 or 4 years, working on various species of reptiles that, local breeders had given me and stuff like that, I realized that, I was wrong about them, and they were, oh no, do not puncture. Shit, it's too close. Okay, I'm gonna, oh no, I think I did puncture that branch. Damn it. No. Okay, well. Darn. Well, whatever. So anyway, yeah, just working on reptiles, they have a lot of very interesting features and it's an area that's just not looked at very often, because I guess people don't take an interest. But they have more variation than mammals would. Like, a lot of times, you see, like, a lot of mammal characteristics that are just propagated over tons of different taxa where like, you know, you'll see like the same, you know, set of muscle structures and stuff in a bunch of different, you know, mammals that are only distantly related. And but then like reptiles are by and large are not really like that. They have a lot of like each taxa has tons of unique features. Yeah, sorry. So I don't know if that answered your question. What was the question? Can't remember it. Damn it. What was the question? I don't know anymore. I'm sorry. So, oh yeah, what got you into this? So, yeah, live chameleon dissection? No, live is just like a live video, right? This chameleon's actually been frozen for a while. People are asking why I am dissecting a chameleon. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put together a small curved scissors. They're not precise enough. Scissors are not as sharp as scalpels. So yeah. Also the tips are kind of large, so I'm worried about accidentally catching other organs and possibly, you know, puncturing them. This is bad. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see this, but this like membrane in here is the lung. It's the septations of the lung. I wonder if I can potentially blow it up for you guys. Let me see. This is bad. Do not puncture. Oh, sorry. People are asking why I am dissecting a chameleon. I'm actually so I'm interested in doing a series of like I don't want to say infographics, but I'm interested in showing anatomy through in a more practical and sort of real life sense. So I'm doing a series of like images of chameleons, but also other animals that are dissected, but also in a more, I guess, user-friendly way, because when you look at like photos of dissections online, they're all like they're super gory. It's hard to tell where the structures are. Sometimes like I'll look for like, you know, I'll Google up I don't know, blue tongue skink liver structure or fat deposit structure, and the dissections are just a mess. They're badly presented, and I feel like a lot of times, especially people in science and people in the veterinary field and stuff, you know, they don't really think about presentation and making things look good. And it's not even making things look good, it's making things look understandable, right? So, yeah, like the messier you are, the less people understand. And I feel like that's a problem. Give me a sec. So, I'm gonna just, for 1 second, I'm gonna try to like, what are you cutting off? I am cutting off the intercostals, which are the muscles in between the ribs, so I can preserve the ribs while revealing the internal organs on the inside. So, you see that? Okay. So here's, I just want to see the extent of the lung by inflating it. Oh no, that didn't work. Let me see. Get a bigger. This didn't work. Okay. It's not working. Swipe right to get rid of chat bubbles. What does that mean? Oh, okay, never mind. That's not for me. Okay. Yeah, so it's not working out. So I'm trying to blow up the lung a little bit so I can see where it is, but I think it's punctured in some places already. Another failure. Okay, at least I know the extent is down here. Okay, well, anyway. Oh, shoot. What are the bean-looking things? The bean-looking things are eggs. So this is a gravid chameleon, and when for some reason, when we're referring to reptiles, we don't say the word pregnant for some reason. I don't know why that is, but we say gravid. So, and what that means is it's got eggs. It's functionally, it's the same thing as pregnant, I guess. So, how do you deal with, Steve Carey says, how do you deal with the smell? What smell? There is no smell because it's fresh. So, think about it this way, right? When do things start smelling? They actually start smelling when things go bad. Like if you have like a piece of steak in the fridge, it doesn't smell like anything. But if you have one that's really starting to go south, it starts to smell rancid, right? So, there is no smell because the animals are just they're fresh frozen, and when I thaw them out and I work on them immediately. So I also don't accept animals that are like heavily rotten. Like sometimes people do give me that, like I'll get animals in bags that are they're either too far gone to do anything with, or they're somewhat slightly, you know, going south, and I either just like if they're too bad, I trash them, unfortunately, and if there's like any parts that are recoupable, I either like try to get the skulls out or something like that. Sometimes like I try to not waste things, but like sometimes if it's too bad, it's just not worth it. Like I mean, most people I think who give me stuff they're fairly conscientious about this stuff. Or conscientious, I think. They're fairly conscientious about this stuff, but like in the past I've had like extreme cases where like I was at like this was like a reptile society meeting a couple years ago where somebody was like, somebody just handed me like a bag of maggots, and they were like, hey, this is my dead gecko, and I'm like, where's the gecko? And they're like, it's somewhere in there. Yeah, that was not good. So yeah, I don't accept stuff like that. Yeah. So, yes. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. I really think people are like really amazed by this stuff, and they're like, how do you get started? How do you do this? But I really think anybody can do this. It's just like you think of dissection as gory and juicy, but that's only like when it's large, or when it's rotting, or when it's not properly managed. Like anybody can just set out some like table covers like I'm doing, and then just start dissecting at home. There's nothing like necessarily hard about it. Okay, yes. Been wanting. Do the animals used for dissection die of natural causes? Yes, they do. And like generally, what's super interesting is that you can actually see why they died. And I've done plenty of streams about this where there's like, actually, this is the first stream where I'm not talking about some sort of pathological condition. Almost the other streams have all been about like how and why things die. This one, you can see exactly why she dies. She's extremely egg-bound. And egg binding is when, like, they produce eggs, but they can't lay them for one reason or another. You know, there's a lot of reasons behind egg binding and egg binding problems. It's actually very common in not only chameleons, but just captive lizards in general. And you see that a lot. I have, like, a number of chameleons in the freezer that is egg-bound. Do you still diathanize animals? Yes, I do. I've actually taken a break from working on skeletons to mostly diathanize things. And if you go to the store, there's diathanized things coming up all the time. My new thing is fish, so I've been working on a lot of fish. But, yeah. So, I appreciate your answer so much. Thank you. I love how you say it's not informative, but holy crap, I'm learning. Ah, shucks, guys, come on. Do people like these types of streams? I mean, if this is interesting, like, I can probably do this more. I mean, can you hatch the eggs when they're done? Yes. Actually, but before I get into that, I just want to finish this thought. Okay, so, first, I just wanted to ask, like, do people like these types of streams? Because I guess I've always kind of thought about doing them. A lot of times when I'm dissecting like this, I'll sit at night and like dissect for several hours, and like I'll usually just like have YouTube in the background. Maybe like, I don't know. I've been listening to a lot of like language lessons lately, and things like just things like informative science videos. I've run out of like murder mysteries, but if people like this stuff, I can do it again, and we can have like a fireside chat or like a dissection side chat or something. But yeah, I love this kind of stuff. Why didn't you do this straight away and put the eggs in the incubator? Because I just get a lot of frozen animals mailed to me, and at that point the animal's been frozen for a long time, so like I guess it's not really something that's doable. But now that you've mentioned that, I think this is something that people should do. Like, for example, I see a lot of times people especially like they'll have a chameleon or another lizard or something, or snakes that are egg-bound, and they'll be unable to lay them and the animal will die. And what you should do 100% of the time is to cut open the animal and get the eggs out and incubate them, because you still have a chance of saving the eggs even if you can't save the adult. Why wasn't it done in this case? I don't know. Also, like, it's possible that these eggs just aren't fertile. So that's another thing too, right? So not all eggs are fertile. Like in the same way that like people have periods and they'll just produce an egg, and if it doesn't get fertilized, it gets destroyed. Birds and also reptiles, they'll produce infertile eggs all the time, and like these eggs aren't fertile, but they'll still get egg bound with infertile eggs. And I actually I did a vlog where I talked about this, and I had like two chameleons that had this, and it's really common. Like, I don't know if anybody who's like watching actually raises chickens or something, but it's just incredibly common, especially in like captive conditions. I would say even that like most bearded dragons die of egg binding and other egg related issues, such as like yolk peritonitis and stuff like that. So it's not only is it really common for lizards and to produce eggs that are not fertile and then not be able to lay them, but it's also really common for the eggs to be misshapen, or they'll have like bad shells where they'll just pop. And once if the egg's misshapen, obviously they can't get it out. But if the egg breaks, you come onto this. Ooh, I hope I didn't nick anything. You come onto this condition called yolk peritonitis. And what yolk peritonitis is it's like, okay, so you know how you know how like if you crack an egg, it's like liquid on the inside, right? But if you start cooking it, it'll solidify, right? So when eggs break inside the body, they'll be liquid for a period of time, but then because of the immune response, the immune system starts to sort of try to deal with all the yolk that's in the body cavity, and because of the immune response, the immune cells actually denature the proteins in the egg yolk, and by denaturing it, it solidifies it. So now you have like solid bits of egg yolk all over the inside of the body, and at that point, things just aren't good. Like if you have an animal that's that has a ruptured egg inside it, and you try to, the thing to do is just to take it to the vet like immediately, and try to get the vet to wash it out. If it's at the point where it's solidified around the organs and all over the inside of the body, you don't have too many options left. I mean, honestly, besides putting the animal down, it's gonna die anyway. So yeah, I mean, there's the window of time between that is actually pretty small. People are asking, what is the point of this dissection? I'm getting this ready for photography. So what I'm going to do is after I finish this, I'm going to take a bunch of photos of the organs and the eggs in place, but also with the ribs in place. Like I've done a couple of, I guess I haven't posted them, but I've done some infographics with the ribs cut away, and I don't really like them because they don't look like, there's like a big section cut away, and it doesn't look like, anything that's, it makes it hard for people to place it in context and stuff. And I feel like, for for informational images, I think it's good to have as much of the animal as possible to give more information. So yeah, that's another little piece. So yeah, as someone who has owned lizards, my empathy, any salvage, any eggs, any, I don't know. So Sarah's asking, my empathy for lizards makes it really hard to dissect and salvage any eggs. Any advice on how to avoid that mentality? Look, like when you have a situation where a female is definitely not going to make it and she has eggs inside her that you are sure are fertile, like if you think about it, is it better to lose one life or is it better to lose 54? Like I mean, I know it's a hard decision and I know it's a lot of times people are super squeamish about it, but like if you know that the eggs are fertile, you should try to get them out and you should incubate them because there's still a possibility that you could save them, right? So yeah, I mean, it's just a thing to get over. Here, I will actually even show you how to do this. So this one, people are asking, are you going to take the egg out? No, this chameleon's been frozen for a long time and these eggs are probably not fertile anyway. But if you're doing this, here, see. If you have a chameleon that's egg-bound and you want to try to get the eggs out, what you should do is, I see a lot of people making the cut down the side, and that's kind of dangerous because you'll probably puncture some. What you should do is you should cut along the top of the back, and the flesh there is a little bit thicker, and you see how, like, okay, so you see how there's eggs right here, but this area is just this air bubble. The air bubble is actually lung, right? So if you cut, oh, sorry, people are asking questions. So if you cut into the, to the body to extract the eggs, you should actually cut along the border of the ribs and then peel it open this way. And then it makes it a lot riskier, a lot less risky, right? So you're less likely to actually puncture eggs. And, you know, in a situation where the animal's dead anyway, you know, it's not gonna be any painful or anything. Define long time. Define frozen a long time. It's been frozen for a couple of months, I think, at least. Also, like, when breeders give me frozen animals, a lot of times I don't know how long it's been in their freezer. So it's possible she was, you know, not even alive last year or something. I don't really know. I know that I think she's been in my freezer for a bit, and I don't know when. I really don't know when she died. I'm sorry, this is getting too dry, so I'm gonna just rinse it off a little bit. I have a little, like, just a plate of water that's sitting here. It's really important, I guess, because the lights that I'm working under are kind of warm. It's really important to try to make sure that these things do not get too dry, because if it gets really dry, it becomes harder. Oh, look, there's a bit of dirt there. Pick that off. That's another bit of dirt. Oh, this water's not very clean, huh? Give me a sec. Give me a sec. I'm just gonna get some cleaner water. So, man, 1,000 people watching a live video? Why? Somebody's asking, are you an organ donor? I'm not. He is full of beans, just to send you. Why is he full of beans? First of all, it's not a he, it's a she, and those are eggs. How can you tell if the animal is egg-bound? There's a lot of behavior things. Let me see. So when an animal is egg-bound, it will actually try to lay the eggs, and there's a lot of, like it goes into, I guess, the equivalent of labor, where it strains and it looks for a place to lay the eggs. There's a lot of behavioral indicators. In chameleons, they'll also take on a distinct coloration of, like, I'm about to lay kind of thing. So then So yeah, I mean, people who raise chameleons, especially if you go to, like, Facebook groups like what's it called, Chameleon Central or something, you know, there's really good information about, like, how to tell the signs, and, you know, distinct things about, distinct information about like how they lay and stuff like that. Don't don't let them tell you it's easy though. Like if you like, it's funny because like I hung out in that Facebook group for a while, and like they make everything seem so easy. They're just like, chameleon care, simple. You know, it's just so simple. And it's like anybody could do it. They're actually like really sensitive animals, and they're like one of the hardest. I don't want to say one of the hardest, but they're one of the harder, like more higher difficulty reptiles to keep. So I don't, yeah. Just be aware of that when you start hanging out in one of those forums, and people are like, you should get one because it's super easy. Yeah. Okay, so there's some long back here, and I do not want to puncture that, so I'm going to insert, oh god, insert, shoot. They're just super thin. So I've seen this twice, where a while ago, I was given a chameleon that had an internal lung puncture, and it was kind of interesting because, like, apparently, it had broken a rib, and you people have probably seen my like rib breaking, infographic about when you pick up chameleons wrong. So apparently, a while ago, I had a chameleon that had like broken a rib, and then the rib had punctured the lung and on the inside. So then the body had like puffed up with air, and it was like a balloon. So it was like a chameleon balloon. So yeah, that was one of the more interesting things I've seen. I've also seen one where I guess it had an injury on the side of its body, and the lung was sticking out, because like we think of lungs in mammals and they're just like these distinct organs, but in these guys they're almost closer to air sacs. So they're super thin, they're close to the skin, and I guess in that one, actually, if you Google this, online, there's also a lot of pictures too, because apparently it's not that uncommon of a problem to have an injury and then have the lung sticking out of the injury because of how thin the body wall is, and how much the lung is just really, I guess, stuck to the inside of the body wall. Chameleon has been dead for a month. Somebody says, I'm waiting for a new season of Game of Thrones. That's why I'm here. Okay. Good one. I don't know. Is Game of Thrones good? I never got into it. I used to watch Law and Order, but then, like, I don't know. I feel like over the years, like, the quality has decreased to a point where it's, like, hard to justify watching it anymore. People are like, is it dead? Yes, it is dead. People asking, what are those? They are eggs. Like in hindsight, I probably should have put a description or something that answered many questions that people are asking. Next time, you live and learn, right? Meredith asks, how do you make your specimens look like the photos you take? This is how you do it. It's like every photo is just preceded by hours of careful dissection, where I try to make the carcass look, I try to make it look nice and understandable, and yeah. So basically, then I go back and I take photos, I photograph it, and from multiple angles. A lot of times I'll like try to like get multiple shots of the same area, and then I composite it. So the informational images that I've made in the past, they're actually, people think they're just straight up photos, but they're actually like heavily photoshopped composites. So what they are is like they're like, usually they're like 5 or 6 different photos that I've taken of different views that are then layered together in Photoshop. So for a long time, for about 9 years, I was a video game artist. So I did a lot of like artwork, and I'm actually pretty good with like Photoshop and stuff. So like actually so I guess the takeaway is that like I don't know if people realize this, but like pretty much all the images that I post online, even things like just like random photos of skeletons and stuff, they're heavily photoshopped. They're either there's at a minimum there's like color correction, but you know, at a maximum they're like composites of dozens of photos. Saving eggs. People are like, saving eggs? No, it's been frozen. We're like, why is it frozen? It just, I just get dead animals, either in the mail or from breeders or just, there's a lot of sanctuaries where I just, I go over like once a month and they'll give me a bag of their dead reptiles. And, yeah, so, and they're always frozen, and there's no saving the eggs. You know, it's funny because I actually do not take things that are not frozen. A lot of times I'll get like, somebody will call me and be like, hey, I got a dead snake. And I'm like, oh, is it, you know, what's the condition? It's like, oh, it died last night, and, you know, I've got it in a paper bag here. And I'm like, is it frozen? I'm like, and they're like, no. Because a lot of times people, they don't want to put it in their food freezer, so there's no real way, they're hesitant to freeze it, and I just can't take unfrozen stuff. Like, it's just like, because you don't know the condition, right? Like I've just had too many times where I like took something that was unfrozen and it was just like in really bad shape, or it was rotting on the inside. So I actually don't take anything that's not frozen. Job. Memes. So yeah, there's a lot of new people coming and asking questions. So this chameleon's dead. It's been dead for a really long time, and it was sent to me frozen. What I'm doing is I'm prepping this dissection to be photographed, so that way I can have a nice, easy to understand infographic about this sort of interesting effect, egg binding in captive reptiles, and sort of what the effect that it has on the organs and stuff. So maybe we should like just take a look at this. You see that, like, okay, so you see this, right? Oh yeah. So Kristen says, you're the person who did the dissection on the bow of the pleural effusion. Yes, I am. So yeah. Thanks for watching. So anyway, Sarah says, you should be able to ban someone from chat. I don't have time. Like both my hands are in gloves. I don't want to like deglove, or, you know, just, I also cannot catch all the comments anyway. So I'm not sure what people are saying. I just pick up questions now and then. So I guess we can talk about this. So you see that like her entire body cavity is eggs, right? So there's eggs here, and there are actually more eggs down here in her pelvis, and they're going all the way up into her body, and they're even in the chest cavity right here, right next to the heart. That's a lot of eggs. So in a normal condition, all this space would be filled up with organs. You know, your lung, your liver, your intestines, your heart, and stuff. So having the eggs in there puts a lot of strain on the body already. And when you're not able to get that out, and the eggs are still developing and, you know, forming and getting larger, it leads to a situation where it's called egg binding, where if they're not able to lay the eggs, they die. And it's very common in captive reptiles. And it's not even necessarily like due to breeding. Sometimes they'll just produce eggs on their own that are totally infertile, and when they've not been exposed to a male or anything, and then not be able to lay them and then die. It's just, it has to do with things like conditions in captivity, and things like photoperiod and diet and stuff like that. So if you think about it, okay, think about it this way, right? So the average age of puberty in humans has actually gotten younger. There's a number of factors, but the main factor is diet. So in the Middle Ages, the age of first menstruation in girls was about 16. Right now, it's about 13-ish, but it can be as young as 9 right now. And there's various factors, like for example the overuse of hormones in the dairy and farming industry, but the primary factor actually is because of better diet and better nutrition. So people are able to be ready to reproduce at an earlier age. So better nutrition leads to the sort of readiness for reproduction, right? And this happens actually in captive animals too. Chameleons and also like bearded dragons and snakes and stuff, they have a better diet than they would out in the wild. In the wild, oh, did I make an accidental skin cut? No. Okay, I'm okay. So in the wild, you know, they're not getting fed every day. The insects may be of poor nutritional quality. It's just kind of a one-off whenever they eat, whenever they catch something. So they don't have like extra nutrients to spare. But in captivity, if they're being fed every day, they have all these extra nutrients, and it's like, well, you know, what are we going to do if we have you know, extra resources and extra nutrients? Well, we can have babies. But then like, so the females in captivity will produce eggs regardless of whether or not there's a male present. Like that's actually 100%. So like if you go to like the Chameleon Facebook group or any sort of breeder page, like it's basically like if you get a female, it will have eggs, and whether it becomes egg bound or not depends on your ability to manage the laying conditions. But yeah, so that's a really common, so egg binding is just a really common condition in captivity. The other thing is that animals, they breed seasonally by looking at factors like photoperiod and stuff like that. So, for example, animals will breed in a specific season or when specific conditions are present, and they base that on environmental conditions. Mostly it's photoperiod, and what photoperiod is it's like day. So they'll see that like the days are getting shorter. It's time to, you know, start producing hormones for breeding. I mean, this is not a conscious thought. It's just like a, you know, it's just like a, you know, it's just a thing that a physiological process, right? So yeah, so the changes in things like photoperiod will cause them to start producing hormones to start breeding. But then, like in captivity, it's really hard to manage that. Like if you're in a room with like incandescent lights, or if you're in a totally different part of the world, it's like the body can get confused and just start producing hormones and stuff whenever it's not appropriate, or just willy-nilly. So yeah, there's a lot of reproductive problems in captive reptiles. Even if it's not even outside of egg binding, you see a lot of problems like dystocia, or like poorly formed eggs, like eggs being formed and then reabsorbed and formed again, and like when they get reabsorbed and formed again several times, they're really misshapen and you can't lay them. Just, you know, just problems like that. Yeah. Sorry, this is I promised no information for this video, so it's probably boring just watching me you know, cut away flesh. But yeah, I don't know. I figured some people might be interested. It's not you know, it's not like it's not like I'm really doing much. So yeah. It was not slaughtered. So, this will actually be a really great infographic, because not only do I have this chameleon that's egg-bound, but I actually have another chameleon, a female veiled chameleon that's egg-bound, and it's pretty bad too. It basically, like, so I was talking to a chameleon breeder, and basically, like, it said that if you own a female veiled chameleon, it's gonna either get egg-bound at some point, or just start producing eggs at about a year or two, and it's just an inevitability. And to me, I mean, you had to manage problems like that all the time. That's, you know, kind of depressing. Shoot. Okay, so I might have to end this video soon because my phone battery says it's at 5%. So, I don't know. yeah, so I guess I should just wrap up the stream. But yeah, anyway, thank you so much for attending and stuff. And I guess like this is just a stream of me working. There's no like real like informative basis, or like I wasn't like previous streams I've done is like about a specific condition or a specific disease. Do you guys like these types of streams? I mean, should I do more of them, or I don't know. What do you guys think? So, no? Yes? Well, maybe. I'll think about whether or not I want to post this. And also just plug in your phone and keep going. I don't know. It's also getting very hot. Maybe also I'm almost done, right? I've gotten up to the chest area, and I'm just about to be ready to photograph now. So yeah. Anyway, I'll probably, I'm sort of undecided on whether or not I want to post this video, because it's so long, but people are like, yes, watch. Should I post this video? Yes or no? Yes. Love your videos and all your info. There wasn't much info in here, but okay, fine. Okay, cool. I guess I'll post it. Anyway, cool. Maybe I'll do another process stream at some other point. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys.